Rasulillah wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, so good. We had a good introductory session last week. Went a little bit longer. I didn't actually recognize how long it had gone. But this one, we're going to keep it nice and simple. I'm going to keep it nice and short. So the timer has already begun. So that's the first. We're going to cover some few principles each week. The first principle is timing. So making sure that you stay in time is extremely important. If you're giving a khatira, if you're giving a lecture, if you're giving a khutbah, you need to make sure that you are sticking to the time that has been agreed upon. So you have one, your niyyah, your intention, and number two, the actual agreed upon time. So what is the agreed upon time? The agreed upon time for a khutbah is decided by whom?
Here?
No, anywhere. Any masjid.
Directors of the masjid.
Yeah, so the leadership of the masjid is going to decide what the khutbah timing is. So what is the average khutbah timing if you're giving a khutbah?
25 minutes.
In Libya, it's 5 minutes.
25 minutes, 30 minutes.
20 minutes.
Usually it's average is about 25 to 30
In
minutes.
America.
In most masjids in this area in Orange County. So if they give you a time frame of 25 to 30 minutes, and if you give a 10-minute khutbah, what's the problem? What's the problem with that? Too short. So people say, that's great, I'm happy. Is there a problem with it? What's the problem?
You're probably not getting to the point and you're not diving deep enough into what you're trying to say.
Maybe you did. Let's say you did. You kept it short.
I'd say-
The expectation of how much they're gonna gain.
There's many people that will miss their salah.
Yeah.
You do 10-minute khutbah and you do 5-minute, 6-minute salah, and all those people who are walking, you're going to have 200, 300, 400 people that miss salah, miss Jummah. So that's a problem. You can't do that, right? And if you go too long, what's the problem with that? They're either going to miss the work, they're going to get fired, or they're going to get so bored during the khutbah, they're going to lose their wudu because they fell asleep. You have to go make wudu again, and now you got the bathrooms are full. It's a huge problem. So you got to make sure you stick to time when it comes to khutbah. When it comes to khatira, which is this purpose over here, what should the timing be?
3 to 4 minutes.
2 to 4 minutes.
So who decides the timing?
The organizer.
The organizer, right? Now, the organizer is very flexible in terms of the timing at the moment for people who are regularly giving the khatira. For this group specifically, because you're new and you're not regular and you haven't been giving the khatira for years, we're gonna be extra strict on your timing. Because number one, for the purpose of discipline for yourself, for the purpose of training, and for the purpose of because you're new, you have to be extra careful on your timing. So extra strict on your timing means what? More time than other speakers or less time than other speakers? Less time than other speakers. Why? Because when you are giving khatira to somebody in front of an audience, they feel like they're captive in a sense. Khutbah, they have no choice but to sit, listen to you. Khatira, they could leave, but some people feel embarrassed. They don't want to get up. They don't want to leave. They're going to be disturbing everyone else. So timing is extremely important. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they say, okay, if my time is 4 minutes, or my time is 5 minutes, or my time is 3 minutes, and you prepare everything, and you go, you know what? I think this feels like 4 minutes. You're almost always wrong. Your feeling is wrong. Okay? So you have to understand that when you give it and you read it and you're like, oh, I read it from the paper, it's going to be fine. When you give it, it automatically stretches longer. So the most important thing to do is to practice your khatira as if you're giving it. As if you're giving it completely live. Right? So you really have to do that. In the beginning, how many times should you practice your khatira? Ideally, Hamza is correct. Ideally, it should be 10. If you're lazy, 5. If you're super lazy, 3. And if you do less than 3, you should not be giving khatira. You didn't earn the privilege of giving the khatira if you're not going to even practice a minimum 3 times with a timer to see exactly how long you're going, because people are going to be listening to you. you have a responsibility, you have an amana, you have to practice at least the first 10 to 20 times you're going to give khatira. You're not going to be a seasoned khatira giver until you've given at least 100. Okay, the other people who give khatira here, by the way, I want you to take a guess. Dr. Mahi, how many khatiras do you think he has given at ICOI in his life? Probably like 700 khatiras. Okay? Brother Munir gives khatira. How many khatiras do you think he's given anywhere in his life? Probably 462. But you're close, right? How many khatiras do you think Amr has given in his life, including East Coast? No, Amr. Masalih. At least 500 in his life, including hundreds of khutbahs or whatever it may be. So these are seasoned people. These are people who are giving lectures on a regular basis. Don't assume that you can skip practice and you can skip training and you have not even gotten close to those numbers, right? So the number one thing is timing. I cannot emphasize how important it is to make sure that your timing is in the expectations that somebody else has set for you and you set for yourself. So you have to do two things. If the organizer says you have 3 to 5 minutes, don't go below 3 and don't go over 5. And you say, okay, I'm going to do 4 minutes and 30 seconds. You need to make sure that the expectation you set for yourself is actually going to be on time. Okay? So this is extremely important. 10 times practice or 5, minimum is 3, otherwise don't do it. Cancel your khatir. Don't give it. I'm very serious. Don't give it if you can't practice at least 3 times. Okay? Jabir, you have a question on timing.
I have a suggestion.
What's
about
that?
The timer stuff. You know, when you're recording it, so you send it to you guys, you can go on voice memos to record. It will actually tell you how long it is. So you should know, oh, I should keep it at this much or increase or decrease. So it will tell me like exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds or, 3 minutes, whatever.
True, but here's the problem with that.
Mhm.
Okay? The problem with that is when you send your recording to anybody, when you send your recording to any of the people in the group or you send your recording to me, should that be your first draft or should that be your already practiced khatira draft? Should be already practiced. Why? Because other people's time is valuable. So that's why you should have practiced at least 3, 5, or 10 times before sending the recording.
Exactly.
You agree with that, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Good. Alhamdulillah. Hamza.
In your opinion, because most people like intention spend so beginning the author was born, they'll leave. It's interesting to say. In your opinion, like what is the strongest hook to sort of to start your khatira off with?
Okay, so that was going to actually be my second point.
No, that's right.
Okay, so let's move on to the second point. Second point is the hook or the attention grabbing opening. Okay, there's going to be 2 ways that you start your khatira. Either one, it's going to be with the knowledge gap, or 2, it's going to be with an attention grabbing hook. So a knowledge gap is usually one of the easier ways. If you quote a verse of the Quran or if you quote a hadith and then you kind of explain the hadith, and if the people who've already heard this hadith, if they go in their mind, you know what, I've heard this hadith so many times, they're going to automatically start zoning out. Okay, but the average person in the masjid, how many hadith do you think they've heard?
Only like a few.
Like 100 or 200, average person. If you picked one of those 100 or 200 that they've already heard, they're going to start zoning out a little bit, but doesn't mean that they don't need to hear it again, right? So there's nothing wrong with saying it again. But if you pick one that they've not heard before, now they're going to be like, I never heard this hadith before. And if you pick something where they don't understand it, so if you give the verse and then you give the translation and they listen to it and they go, I don't know what that means in their own mind. They don't know what it means. Now all of a sudden, that's called a knowledge gap. There's a gap in their knowledge where they don't know what that means. And they're going to automatically want to know, I wonder what that verse means. Or I wonder what that hadith means, because they don't know. They just don't know what it means. So this is one way to get the audience's attention very quickly. If you're going to be quoting one of those verses or you're going to be quoting a hadith. The second one is to actually, get their attention by using some other technique. Either by asking a rhetorical question or asking them or revealing some kind of sharing some statistic. Like this percentage of people, eat lamb every single day, or you find some statistic and people, I don't know, just came up with something, right? So come up with something interesting, not on the spot. You research it and you prepare it, and then you say, I was going to mention divorce. So my khatir was supposed to be about divorce today. So if I say, you know what, the divorce rate in the United States of America today is 47%, for example, and the majority of like 50% of people in the first 2 years of marriage, their marriage is not likely to last. All of a sudden, people who are interested in the subject, which is like most people in the community, either for their own family or for themselves or for whatever reason, they're going to start tuning in and say, what's this guy going to say about a topic that's interesting to me? That's different from you simply saying, today I'm going to talk about divorce. You know what? If you say that, it may be enough of a hook because people love the topic. But if they don't love the topic, if you mention something that will catch their attention, they're more likely to pay attention for the next minute. And you have to say something else interesting. Okay? So these are the two things I wanted to share today. We're going to keep it for 15 minutes. Number one is timing. You have to take timing very seriously because it's an amana, it's a trust. Number two, when you're coming up with your speech, you want to make sure you have people's attention at the beginning, either by coming up with some kind of hook that grabs their attention because it's an interesting topic, or because the way in which you present something that it grabs their attention, or create a knowledge gap. You mention something that they don't know but they want to know, and that's automatically gonna bring them in. Okay, so these are the 2 points, and we're gonna start assigning some topics. So what I'm gonna do, inshallah, or maybe what Rami's gonna do, is we're gonna share starting next week. We're gonna share a short khatira for you, and your job is to take some of these points, and you're gonna modify this pre-prepared khatira for you, and you're gonna try to make it more interesting. You're going to try to check the validity of every technique that we go through. It's your job to take this and turn it into X number of minute khatira. It's your job to make this more interesting. It's going to be a non-interesting khatira. Your job is to make it interesting.
Who's gonna be in those short khatiras that you're gonna be giving us next week?
All of you guys are going to be, this is going to be like an assignment for you. You're going to come and you're going to do it in class. You're going to prepare.
Yeah.
Who's giving it?
That you're gonna send us.
Who are you gonna send it to?
I'm gonna make it up myself. I'm gonna select it from the most boring khatiras I've come across. I've done this before in a speaking class. So I'm gonna compile one. It's your job to make it interesting. Content is fantastic. Delivery is not good.
I have a question.
You're gonna make it interesting.
So you're gonna choose a topic for us?
Yeah, I'm gonna choose topic.
Oh yeah. So for
Okay.
Rami, what time are we gonna have this khatira training now?
For next week, you mean?
Yes, next week.
You didn't catch his attention. So you needed an attention-grabbing opening.
No.
In order for
It's a question.
it wasn't interesting enough. See, he tuned out. See the importance of it.
Oh, I was just asking. What time is our khatira? Okay. So tafsir class will be at 8 o'clock, and the cookies will be after. So what time will this khatira training thing will be next week?
So actually, it's gonna be
7:30.
7:30. So I think realistically, I'll make it 7.
Think so?
7. Okay.
I agree.
And honestly, I think the shift should be 7:50.
People won't get out by the time. We won't be able to set up. I know.
If you make it, it's gonna be at 10.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No. If you make it 8, just make it 8. Okay, khalas. Let's make it 8.
Here.
So I think 7 is 7 sharp, basically. This one. Is it good? Whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's a good.
What time?
7 works?
You said 7.
Khalas.
Sabah.
Yeah, 20 to 25 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, we need to incorporate practice.
Yeah, we will. All right. Saturday, right?
Yes, that's the most important.
Okay, so we need somebody to give khatira on
I don't
Saturday.
mind.
So we're going to decide. You want somebody new or you want somebody who's good? We're not far enough in the class.
Let's do democracy.
So why don't
Really
you?
organized.
No. Democracy
Do you want to try somebody? No. I don't believe in democracy. You want somebody new?
Yeah, but let them do something here.
No, they've done before. So somebody new. Let's see.
Medza?
Medja's not in this class.
Oh, he said he signed it.
Oh.
That's just liar.
He's not going to be there for Saturday Fajr? Are you sure?
No, it's not for your session. He's not gonna be there for sure.
Hussein. Because he did it last week. He did it last week, and he's yeah, you're doing the Khatara, inshallah. Can you do Saturday night?
I might not be able to this Saturday.
But you confirmed or no?
I have to check.
When can you find out by?
I like tonight.
By tonight. Okay, so we need a backup then. So backup will be, we're not going to try new people then. So we're going to do somebody who's given Khatara before. Who's given Khatara before? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Any of you else? We only have 4 people who've given Khatara?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can also.
Yalla. Rami, no, I'm not available. Rami, you pick out of the 4. Yeah, out of the 4. Yeah, pick
Should do a
someone
contest.
from the 4.
Saeed did it last week, so Saeed's out.
Come on, man, yeah.
Okay, I'm actually gonna make it. All of you guys do your khatars, put it in the group. We're gonna see the highest-
I like it. There we go. Everyone's going to do practice.
highest,
The ratings.
That's smart.
That's so
Bismillah.
So the people are gonna vote then.
I need to set up. What people will vote? Like publicly in the group chat? Okay, I need to set up a reminder.
no hard feelings.
Make Khatira and copy Sheikh Mustafa.
They're like, no.
So,
They're like AI generate my voice.
Like encourage everybody here to do their khatara, like do 1-2 minutes, get feedback, so at least we can know who following.
So, I have a question. What if favoritism happens in this?
What do you mean?
Like favoritism, like let's say he likes Jabir the most, he goes for Jabir. Oh, okay.
That's why I don't believe in democracy. But okay, go ahead, Hamza.
Is it okay in a khatira to just a little bit of audience interaction?
Yes,
Like raise your hand if this happens.
Yes.
I have a question.
yes. In fact, it's one of the techniques we're going to cover.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't do it in a khutbah, but you could do it. Actually, you can do it in a khutbah as long as they're not talking.
Raise your hand.
We done a whole
I've done it. Yeah, I've done
And this here?
it. Here too, yeah. I've
I've
done it.
never seen this.
Because you weren't paying attention.
Do you think people speed up when they're giving the hospitals, or do you think they're taking their time? Like, because that's something people worried about is taking
Both,
audience as
both,
effective.
both. Some people will speed up to cram everything in there, like we saw Hussein. You know, last time. Nothing against you, right? And some people will slow down and they'll take one point and they'll just drag it on really long. It all depends on the personality. So you need to know your own weakness, and you need to make sure you correct that. Yeah, exactly. Inshallah.
I don't know if I missed it, but you said last week that you would give your feedback on Hussein's khatira from last week.
Yeah. Following week, inshallah. No, we didn't do it. Yeah. Inshallah, it'll come. Yes.
So who's doing the 1 minute Khatira today?
Nobody. We're not doing 1 minute khatr. It's canceled. Time is up. We talked about the importance of time. Time is done for this.
Wait, I have a question.
Why don't we extend the class?
Huh?
Why the 20 minutes? Why don't we extend it?
Lots of people ask to extend it.
We'll see next week. We can extend.
Next week.
Yes.
Is there a formality in terms of ending the khatira? I know always when we start the khatira it has to be
Yes, subhanakallah wa bihamdika.
Okay, is that a mandatory formality?
It's
or
not
you
mandatory.
you end it with sort of also or whatever?
You can end it with Surah Al-Asr.
There is no formal.
There's no formal. Right. The shortest thing to end it with is Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Right? Or you could just say, and praise belongs to Allah. Conclude it and you're done. Right? Yeah.
For this part, you have to say salam ala Rasulullah.
You should. It's recommended.
What do you do if there's someone out there like after the khatira that's criticizing you on something that after you're reviewing your khatira?
Yeah. Direct them straight to Rami. Yeah. Just it. Right, it is a very good
How
question.
do you need internally?
Internally. Yeah.
No, I mean internally with both praise and criticism.
We talked about praise last week. Right?
Criticism.
So now let's talk about criticism. Okay? Criticism. We talked about criticism last week too. A little bit, but I'll review.
Not as much as praise.
If somebody comes and criticizes you, the first thing you got to do is you got to be humble. And you need to say, hey, is this person's criticism? Maybe there's validity to it. Maybe I can improve and I can learn from what this person is saying. So this is the first and most important thing. You should always be able to learn, even if it's somebody that you hate and they hate you. You could still learn. You could still learn from your enemy. Right? Imam Ghazali, he says a statement. He says, you can learn sometimes more from your enemies than your friends. because your friends will be shy to correct you. Your enemies will nonstop just keep on saying bad stuff about you. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right. So number one, accept it, right? I mean, be willing to accept it. Second thing you do is you check, and if you think it's wrong and you say, I don't think this is valid, go check with somebody else, somebody of wisdom. Double check and say, this is the criticism that was made. Is it a valid criticism or not? Right? So this is the thing to do. If it's not a valid criticism, the person is just being foolish or something like that, then you think about, say, you know what? I check with the person of wisdom or two people of wisdom, and these people are wiser than the one who gave me the criticism. So therefore, I'm not going to internalize this. I'm not going to let this person get me down. I'm also still beginning. Someone may have an issue with me. Don't take it to heart. Don't let it demotivate you. If they're right about their criticism, and say, you know what? Okay, you know what? That's a good point. I'm going to incorporate it, and don't beat yourself up that you messed up. Everyone messes up, right? Nobody's perfect. You can always, anybody can improve. This is the way to handle criticism generally.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've noticed that no matter how good of a speaker you are, no matter what points you give out, there's always going to be someone in the crowd who doesn't like your style or doesn't like your speech in general.
Correct. That's why there's a formula in teaching that they teach, is that there is a 20-20-60% rule. In every audience, there's going to be about 20% of the people who love you no matter what you say. 20% of the people who hate you no matter what you say. And 60% of the people in the middle, they're only going to like you or dislike you depending on whether you do a good job or not. So you should always aim for making 80% happy. The 20% who hate you, you're never going to win them over. But you can get the 60% by doing a good delivery, and you don't have to prepare, and you get the other 20% for free. Your goal should always be 80%. If you get 80%, you're good. Don't worry about the 20%. Usually, if the person is among the 20% who's criticizing you, let it go. You can actually say, you know what? I'm surprised, man. Only 3 people criticize me. Look at this audience. The other 20% the other percentage, they were quiet. What happened to the other 20%? You should be like, alhamdulillah. The other ones didn't open their mouth. Only these 3 did. You let it go.
I'd like to chime in if that's okay.
Just taking questions.
Oh,
yeah. I appreciate your comments, but we're out of time. So, does anyone have a last question? Yeah.
I noticed that with Father and Isha time, the people upstairs, especially the kids and the female section, they tend to be more rowdier than upstairs the Fajr.
Yes.
So Imam called it out one time. He did a great job. He kept going while he was so noisy and stuff. What do you recommend in terms of you still have to deliver your Father and you do it, but in terms of crowd control, what do you do? Do you actually stop and say, can we slow down?
You have 2 options. So the thing is, first of all, who's supposed to be doing this? Okay, it's not the speaker. Okay, because when the speaker does it, it almost feels like self-serving. It's like, you should be listening to me, right? This is a leadership management problem that has not been fixed, right? This should be fixed from the top. Now, if it doesn't get fixed and it's not your responsibility, you have 2 options. Either one, you take it on as your responsibility and you say, listen, this is not right. There are people who are trying to pay attention. And you don't make it about yourself, right? See, there are other people who are trying to actually pay attention, and it's not fair for them and all that stuff. It may work, it may not work. You can try it. Second option is you focus your attention on the people who are trying to listen and who are really paying attention, so that you yourself don't get so bothered and you'll be like, I'm trying to talk to the other person and that person can't hear. You say, you know what? I'm sorry, that's not in my control. I'm going to focus on the people who are able to focus, who want to focus, and everyone else is responsible for the noise that's being made. Whoever's the parents and everyone else, they're responsible for that. Don't take the responsibility yourself. So this is one of the big mistakes the speakers make in the beginning. I make this mistake too sometimes. You start raising your voice, you try to talk over the people who are making the loud noise. What's going to happen is they're going to raise their voice even more. And now you are internally getting frustrated because you're like, I got to speak over this other person, and actually usually doesn't work. It doesn't work because, if you actually lowered your voice, then some people may get the idea and say, you know what, this is ridiculous. People are, making noise. This is unacceptable. So somebody may actually go and make a correction. Someone else will shh them or something like that. If you keep raising your voice all the time, no one will shh them because you're literally in competition with the people who are making noise. But sometimes it's not the best strategy to do that. طيب.
You have a dedicated shusher?
I've recommended this to the management here so many times. I've told them to pay non-Muslims to be shushers. Now, I really believe this. I truly believe this. I even said I'm going to collect donations for it, but they refuse to do it. So, yeah.
So, what's gonna happen for next Saturday? So between us four over here, we're all gonna send our khatara, and then you guys are all gonna vote on like who's gonna do the khatara because of the preparation or what. Like,
Then
We
ask the
have-
organizer.
Yeah, we have a
Who's the
deadline.
organizer?
Yeah, so basically the deadline to send the khatara today is Wednesday. So
tomorrow.
deadline is tomorrow midnight, and voting will be done Friday by midnight, and by Friday midnight we're gonna see who has
And keep in mind, you guys are all backups.
Yeah.
If Hussein is available by tonight, he's giving khatra on
No, I
Saturday.
know that.
Yeah.
I'd rather listen to
Don't
him
bribe him
myself.
tonight or something, right? But if
Send,
he's not available, then you guys are the backups.
He doesn't even send it though,
So
right?
you can say,
He
you
sent
can
it.
say-
You
you can
No,
send
but
the
just
group
send
you're
that
gonna
if
make
you're
the
gonna do it or not.
Yeah,
To be honest with you, there's a slight chance I'll be able to, so it's not looking like they're not
So
going
you-
to.
No, we're looking
You're right.
forward to having you guys. I'm gonna make God that you're doing it.
Good, mashallah. That's it. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.